Awesome. What's a good color, you think? I think I like blue. That's fucking purple. Blue, bitch. Nothing works in this fucking house. Video gaming is good for you. And I did a lot of video gaming in 2022, and I'm here to convince the 34 of you who watch me to do some as well. I've compiled some video games on a list, and I'm going to show them to you. I'm going to recommend them to you. The only rule is I had to have played them in 2022. They're in no particular order. The first game is actually 2 games. Surprise! Now, I could have put the entire Haunted PS1 Spectral Mall collection on this list, but I decided not to. Instead, I picked 2 games specifically from it. Now, that's not to devalue the efforts of any of the developers who've worked on all of the games in this collection. In fact, all of them should be very proud of what they've made. But there were 2 that really just stood out and tickled my scrotum. While I do think you should play the entire collection, I hear you. You know, if you press the install button on the Haunted PS1 itch.io page, your head it's gonna fucking explode. You'll die. So that's why it's a good thing that these 2 games have their own separate download pages on itch.io, and both of them are like smaller than 500 megabytes, so you'll be able to run it on your shitbox 5000. We'll start with Enchain, because this one actually surprised me. Don't tell anyone this, but I'm not a big fan of boomer shooters. But Enchain stands out because, among other things, it has possibly the most satisfying kick mechanic in any game ever made, probably. Oh yeah, it also has a grappling hook, I guess. Enchain is a game that makes you feel like a gaming guru. The combat is it's fucking... You feel like the school bully to these asshole zombie idiots. You kick them into the air, you shoot them midair, you ride their body like a skateboard and kick it into a wall. You suck the essence out of them and get bullets out of their body before you kick them into their friend. And the way all of these options can just flow into one another mid-combat is just so disgusting. But the combat is only half the equation, the other half being the exploration, which, for me, puts it over the average boomer shooter. When you're not busy shoving skeletons into lockers and grinding their face into the pavement, the game lets you explore what all of these options can do outside of combat. You can kick off the floor, kick off the wall, you know, kick a guy, grapple hook into midair and send yourself flying across the map, and then kick off the floor. I am such a fucking slut for this kick mechanic. I want this game to fucking kick me. I can't even imagine to begin what speedrunners will do with the options Enchain gives to you for movement and combat. Either way, play Enchain. Play it for your old man. Do it for me. Come on. Now for the other game that shares this spot, it's nowhere near as, you know, fast or intense as Enchain. But let me tell you, Gob is no less good. A charming but unconventional art style, wacky-ass setting and characters, very strong atmosphere, a radio, a toilet gunk. No matter what I say or show you about Gob, I'm not sure if I'll be able to convince you, so instead let me read the game's description. After a deep slumber, a trip to the vending machine spirals into an unintentional journey underground. Play as Gob to solve the puzzles of your messy home and trudge through the unseen corners of a cavernous tunnel network. Mash things together, break them apart, and observe the environment to get yourself back home. It also has, and I quote, point-and-click mechanics without the pointing and clicking. You just fixed like 90% of point-and-click games for me. Let me go around on my own. I don't want to click on shit to go places. Let me press the shoulder buttons on my controller to mash shit together like a toddler. Make the menu into a phone with icons that don't make sense. Just, this is basic shit. This is game making. Gob is a puzzle game. And if you're a dumbass like me, then you're gonna be feeling like giving up pretty soon. But please don't. Instead, inspect everything you can. Just press every button on your controller the moment you start playing the game, and whenever you pick up new things. Everything the game shows you, it's showing you for a reason. Like, whenever you're able to interact with something, there's a reason why. Either way, give these demos a shot, and if you have the chance, I'd say just check out the entire Haunted PS1 Spectral Mall, and just, like, every Haunted PS1 collection in general, because it's just, there's so many developers on this collection, these collections, I should say, with like unique or obscure or just esoteric, you know, visions for games. It's just so much fun. For this one, we're being serious, so no funny shit, okay? You probably know David Szymanski as the guy who made Dusk, or more recently Iron Lung. And no, Iron Lung will not be making the list, despite coming out in 2022, and despite the fact that it's terrifying and you should go play it anyway. Sorry! I knew that when I was making this list, his games would make it on here because of the impact they had on me. What I did not expect was that after I wrote the script and went back to play the games, I would have to end up rewriting this entire section. You see, I can't just put one of his games on the list in this spot because, you know, while I did like some of them more than others, each one, no matter the quality, was able to make me feel, you know, something. They made me, a sack of DNA, feel something. And sure, you might think any game can do that, but it's really not that simple, especially in video games. Very few games can actually successfully achieve that. I'm not gonna wax philosophical for 10 minutes and act like I know what all of these games are about. I don't know if a strange acidic smell emanating from a shit pipe has deeper meaning than it actually does, because I don't know. I just don't. Because for one, I'm trying to get you to play games, not give you a degree in literary studies. And two, whatever conclusion I might draw from these games and pass on to you, that's just what I got from it. Most people who want to analyze a book, movie, game can only describe what they themselves got out of it. Nobody's ever gonna know the artist's intention unless you know, go up to them and grab them by the collar and go, "Tell me, bitch!" But that's fine, because what would be the fun of discussing art if there was a definitive answer to everything, or a right or wrong way of thinking about it? Anyways, David Szymanski's games, or his older ones at least, are more akin to books than actual games. Sure, they have interactive elements, but they're never really the point. You're more meant to engage with the games through their story, their characters, and, you know, their text. The moment-to-moment gameplay is more or less there to just fill in the parts in a book where it would go, "Michael meandered across the dead island. Regret and death passed under his feet." If you want an actual game, then I can refer you to the rest of this video. But if you're somehow still interested, then what the fuck is wrong with you? And just go play the games if you are interested, because I can't really I can't really tell you much about them without giving away the one reason you should be playing them. The highest praise I can give these games is, like I said earlier, they made me feel. And not in a cheap way, like having a face flash on screen or having sad music play over a superficial plot point, but just by telling their stories, and that's it. Anyways, here's the names of the games, because I forgot to say that for this entire part. Also play them in order. Oops. Oh, every time I sit down, I'm afraid I'm gonna miss the chair and completely fall. Wouldn't that be funny? Now we have the one you've all been waiting for. The one game that actually came out in 2022, that I played in 2022, that made it onto the list in 2022. And I'm sorry to inform you, it is a Nintendo game. And yes, it is Splatoon 3. Before you tear my dick off, here's what you need to understand. I did not play Splatoon 2. However, I did play the original Splatoon, and that was my shit back in middle school. So when the second one came out and people were just saying it was a minor upgrade from the original, I skipped it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And so now, Splatoon 3 is a minor upgrade of a minor upgrade, making for a full upgrade. And so now I come back and all of this shit is new to me. The music is good. Turf War gets boring the moment you realize there's only 3 weapon types you can use if you want to win. Anarchy is the only fun mode. Salmon Run makes me want to blow my fucking brains out because I suck ass at it. The campaign was okay until the hype as fuck ending, and it was a nice alternative to playing Dead by Daylight. Okay, we had our fun, but now it's back to being a wannabe video essayist. For me to even try to explain Quadrilateral Cowboys would be to try and break down the very fundamentals of video games. That's a lie. I can explain it, I just want it to sound smart. This is a programming game. I know there's a lot of those out there, but I was unaware of them until I played Quadrilateral Cowboy. And if this is your first time discovering what a programming game is, then join the club. I've given a lot of these games a look, but none of them really stand out to me or make me want to play them, because to me they occupy the same space as like an RTS or a grand strategy game, meaning I don't give a fuck about them. Game too hard. This is where Quadrilateral Cowboys comes in. You and two buddies are planning these heists in like a VR heist program in this truly unique setting. You don't have a Walkman in this universe. That would be stupid. You have a Vinyl Man. People don't live in apartments. They live in these precariously balanced buildings in the middle of these like mega apartment complexes. How would you get, say, like the code for a top secret vault? Maybe like an encrypted email or something like that, or like a brain scan. No, in Quadrilateral Cowboys, you order it via pipe mail. It's just like the concentrated essence of cool, goofy sci-fi shit, and I love it. It's so creative, and I could gush about it forever, but you probably want to know about the meat, the gameplay. Alphabetical clusterfuck just keeps throwing new shit at you constantly, and you think, this can't all possibly work together. There's gonna be an overload, but it just does. It all works together so well. Everything is taught through the world. There's no floating text boxes telling you to put in a command. It's all like, you have to look at your notebook, or you see a sticky note posted on your computer. This game feels tactile. Like, it feels like you could reach in and touch it, and the game would have a feel. You could run your hands over it, and you'd feel like cheap 90s box computer plastic. I know that's probably an awful description for something you can't actually feel with your hands, but it's the only word that comes to mind when I talk about this game. By the end, you just have all this different shit that you're just able to use however you please. If you're sick of programming a door to open, then you can just say fuck it and grab the nearest vase and just smash a window and just leave. You can't always do like crazy shit like that, mind you, but as the later levels start to open up when you have all of your gear, there's pretty much like no limits on how you can complete a level. Please play Quadrilateral Cowboys. It is a one-of-a-kind experience and you won't forget it. Also, I played this game in late 2021, not 2022. So that's technically breaking the only singular rule I set for this stupid list. But what was I going to do then? Have a top 4 games of 2022? So this is going to be an anticlimax. My game of the year is Omori. Yes, the funny air conditioning game. I'm re-recording this entire final section because my first attempt at it was just a bunch of unscripted rambling, and I didn't have any of my thoughts organized. You remember when I said that none of the games on this list are organized in any particular order? Well, I lied, because I put this game in first for it to have the most impact at the reveal. I think the reason I struggled to formulate any coherent thoughts on this game was because it's very special to me. You can probably relate when I say that most people have one thing that is special to them. No matter the flaws or other apparent issues, it's perfect to you, whatever that thing is. Omori is one of those 2 games to me, and it's a real shame because I'm gonna have to do the one thing I hate doing on the internet most, and that's being sincere. In a way, I'm not the right person to recommend this game because I am not gonna be able to present an unbiased view on it, but if you're here for serious reviews, my mind is blown at the prospect that you are still watching this. But because I feel obligated to finish this video, I will try my hardest to come up with something of substance to say about it. If you've played Undertale or Earthbound or any other Earthbound adjacent games, then you probably know the pitch for Omori. A game handling very heavy or otherwise dark subject matter, parading as a cutesy JRPG adventure. Apparently people have criticized this game's story for being too dark, which I myself haven't heard anything of, but in response to those very, very real reviews that definitely exist, I think it's a good thing, because there are very few games with mainstream appeal that are willing to go as far as this one does at times. If you shut the door to an art form in someone's face who has something to express through it, then all you're gonna get is the same old boring bullshit over and over again that's afraid to push people to where they might get uncomfortable. Guys, put the quote on screen so I look like I know what I'm talking about. And if Omori's story was just miserable for the sake of being miserable, then I would be inclined to agree with a lot of these people. But it's not. I think that anybody who would play it and even pay half attention to it would be able to tell that that's not the case. Yes, it drags you to some very deep depths, but it also remembers that you need to breathe. It's not all hopeless. Not to say there's nothing you can get out of a completely hopeless story, but it knows when to push you and when not to. Oh, that was a bad choice of words. While I've only heaped praise on the story so far, I don't think it's the only thing you should play the game for. You should play it for the gameplay, the art, the music, everything that makes it whole. I have no doubt that all of these elements on their own would still be great, but it's the fact that they're all brought together that they become exceptional. That's why I, and I think most other people, play video games, because it's art made up of art that allows you to not just be a viewer, but also a part of the piece. Basically, what I'm trying to say is Omori is probably one of the better games I've played in a while, probably. Probably put it up there with Dark Souls 2 Black Armor Edition for the Xbox 360. Subscribe to Go Watch Comedic TV if you haven't done that already. We've uploaded a new video. Also, Elden Ring didn't deserve Game of the Year. Go fuck yourself.